JP Peterson here with our Gator Blitz as the Gators are off this week, but lots going on with the football program as Billy Napier was let go. We'll talk about who's next for the Florida Gators, where the coaching search is, after we remind you that this Gator Blitz is brought to you by the great folks at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Scott Jeeves, big old Gator fan. Definitely happy now that Billy Napier has been let go. Go Gators. But if you are involved in an accident, you got to go to the Jeeves Law Group. They are local, they are trusted, and they get results. They know the local legal landscape. So make sure you call the Jeeves Law Group, you Gator fans, to get great representation from a big old Gator fan, and that's Scott Jeeves and the great attorneys at the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. You can get your free case evaluation and consultation right there. Not attorney spokesman, offices Tampa and St. Pete. Also by the great folks at Riveters, which is the home for the Tampa Gator Club to watch all the Gator games, including the Florida-Georgia game coming up next week in Jacksonville. 3:30 will be the kickoff, so make sure you get there early at Riveters to get your seat and enjoy all the early games and the great wings. Oh, the buffalo chicken dip is fantastic, folks. Have that. The hazy IPA they make right there, fantastic. Riveters is the place for all sporting events to watch, or if you're just looking for a great meal before Bucks games as well, they do the Bucks brunch. So head on over to Riveters, just north of 275, south of the stadium, right there on Dale Mabry. All right, as many of you know, Billy Napier was fired. The Napier tenure fraught with a lot of undisciplined football, bad special teams, a lot of undisciplined stuff that really, sometimes it's not just the record, it's the nuances that get you fired. And for Billy Napier, I think that was a lot of it. We'll get into a lot of it, but just in general, his record 22-23. He was 2-2 this year. Of course, big win over Texas, big win over Mississippi State. Still got him fired. 3-4 overall, and it was obviously the loss to USF at home, 18-16, that really, I think, got the ball rolling for his firing late in the game. Brandon Belt spitting in the face of the USF player that gave them 15 yards on the winning drive. Ridiculous. Getting the ball with 2 minutes left, throwing on first down when you just needed to run off the clock. Ridiculous. So it was more than just the record, but certainly the record wasn't great. 12-16 in the SEC, 0-10 in road games against ranked SEC teams, 3-12 against his rivals, Georgia, LSU, Miami, Tennessee, and Florida State. That will get you fired most every time. And it's interesting now as they embark on this coaching search. I was listening to Josh Pate, one of the big voices in college football, ear to the ground, knows all the folks, and he's hearing two names, really. Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss and Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri, two SEC coaches. Now, I know a little something about the Kiffin family, and I can just tell you this, that it's going to take a lot of money and a lot of persuasion to get Lane Kiffin out of Ole Miss right now. And you can even go watch the documentary that's out there with old Lane doing his hot yoga. Some of you ladies will enjoy that video. But he's very, very satisfied and happy in Oxford, and he's done a lot of self-discovery over the years. Very much a different person than he was in his younger years when he was very brash and his programs were very toxic. It's very different Lane Kiffin, grown up, matured, and doing a hell of a job at Ole Miss, And now with revenue sharing, where all teams get to spend up to $20 million on their players, plus NIL, an SEC school. 10, 15 years ago, if you said, which is a better job, Ole Miss or Florida, it was a no-brainer. It was Florida. But those days are over now. The college football landscape has changed dramatically in a lot of different ways. Lane can name his dollar amount at Ole Miss, where anybody comes calling, they're just going to match it. So money is really not going to be an issue. So it's about the environment you're in. And at Ole Miss for Lane Kiffin, he's under zero pressure. He's like a god there already, just keeping his program in the top 5, top 10. You're never going to get fired at Ole Miss. And it's very different at the University of Florida, as many of you Gator fans know. I think it's very similar to what's going on at Florida State as well. I mean, these are two very proud programs that have had, 3 national championships and some, blue blood runs as college football. But as I said, the landscape has changed. And I think both of these programs are not looked at like they once were. You can win anywhere now. You can win in Georgia Tech in the top 10, Indiana, Kurt Signetti. You can win anywhere now. It's the parity has changed very much in college football. So these jobs that once were open, like Florida, oh, the Ole Miss coach, the Missouri coach, it's a no-brainer. Who wouldn't want to come? It's not that way anymore. So coaches are looking at a little bit more than just the money. They're looking at the lifestyle. They're looking at the opportunity. Now, obviously, University of Florida, you've got an opportunity with the talent base that's in the state of Florida and the recruiting connections that the Gators have. Would it be easier for Lane to win a national championship at Florida than Ole Miss? I think you can make that case. I think you can make that case. There's be more money for NIL, a talent-rich state, but not only a talent-rich state, but the Gators are so ingrained in high school recruiting in the state of Florida. Even Billy Napier, who struggled to win games, has done a great job in recruiting because those connections to the University of Florida are already there and they're built in. Legacy connections with high school coaches. So I think in that sense, yes. But you also look at the opponents that Florida plays year in and year out. Look at the schedule that you have to play. You know, if you're playing Florida State every year, if you're playing Georgia at a neutral site, if you're having another game like Miami in your non-conference, I mean, the schedules that Billy Napier's had last year and this year they're brutal. I mean, absolutely brutal, and they will take you out of any consideration for a national championship. So if you're Lane Kiffin, is this a better job? If you're Eli Drinkwitz, is this a better job? I mean, definitely looking at Missouri football compared to Florida football. I mean, I would say, yeah. But there's loyalties now and things that change. But we'll see where this goes. But those are two main names that we're hearing. James Franklin, I'm guessing, is not in the mix. Otherwise, I think maybe that deal would have already been done, or maybe James is kind of waiting to see which job and he can kind of cherry pick maybe which job he wants. Believe it or not, I know people say, well, I could never win the big game. He will be in demand. He will definitely be in demand. If it were me, if I were Michael Alford at Florida State, I'd be hiring James Franklin tomorrow. And by the way, Mike Norvell, that whole vote of confidence, nah. The FSU is already looking for the next head coach too. So you got the Gators and Florida State and Penn State. I mean, you got a lot of big time programs that are looking for a new head coach. Oklahoma State, I think there's 8 openings now. The record for firings FBS in a year, I think, is 10. So I think we're going to go way past that. So, but it's an interesting time that both FSU and Florida are going to be looking for a coach. And maybe that's why Florida went ahead and did the deal, because they want to get started early. But I can tell you this, Michael Alford is already looking for Florida State's next coach. I think the statement that they put out is more about just getting their ducks in a row in terms of finances. But yeah, I think very much so. They're both going to be looking for, and obviously the candidates are the same. I think Michael Alford probably also called Lane Kiffin. He probably called Eli Drinkwitz, probably called James Franklin. I think all those guys are in play. Jeff Brohm at Louisville, I think, is another very good choice after their big win over Miami. But again, loyalty there at Louisville, where he played. That is his home. So I don't even know if you can pry Jeff Brohm out of Louisville. So it's a different landscape than it's ever been. And one other note that I just throw out here, and Gator fans, you're not going to like this, but Tim Brando was talking, and he talking about the job, the opening, and he said it's a toxic environment at the University of Florida in terms of their fan base. You look at Dan Mullen getting fired with a what was his record? 34-15 record. Not too bad. Even McElwain, I believe, was 22-12. So Urban Meyer talked about that when he left, that and Steve Spurrier, that it's just a fan base that is never, ever satisfied. And I think that's something that is also prevalent at FSU. So I think fan bases in general are going to have to adjust expectations in this new world of parity in college football. And that comes to, when it comes to hiring and firing coaches as well. So It's definitely a new world, and it'll be very interesting to see where this lands for the University of Florida timing wise and who they get. And the sweepstakes is on. All right, Georgia next week after the Georgia next week after the bye week, and that'll be the first game for Billy Gonzalez, the new interim coach, the wide receivers coach that was elevated to being the interim coach. He's already called Urban Meyer, been trying to who he worked under at many different spots, trying to get some advice on how to run the team. So we'll see if Billy Gonzalez can get this offense and DJ Lagway going against Georgia. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Gator Blitz, brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVESLawgroup.com. Go to the website, get your free consultation and case evaluation at JeevesLawGroup.com, not attorney spokesman. And, of course, Riveters, the home of the Tampa Gator Club for all of the watch parties for Gator football and Gator basketball coming up. It is Riveters right there on Dale Mabry, just north of 275, just south of the stadium. You will love it. My favorite place to watch games. The food is fantastic. Staff is awesome. And the hazy IPA is to die for. So thanks for watching the Gator Blitz. We'll see you next time.